Hey everybody, this is real Sean Irish coming at you from the ATL, deep in the heart of the ATL. and The thought of this video is going to be voters need citizenship and photo ID. It follows off from my last video that the Democrats love cheating by certain methods. One of those methods is people that aren't citizens voting, and the other method is people that have no right to vote. They'll also multiple vote. They'll ship people in. They call motor voting. They bring people in from other states and other locations and to vote in multiple locales under assumed names on the voter roll. They do that, and so we need photo IDs. We need photo IDs and proof of citizenship in order to be able to vote. Because I can't go to Mexico and vote in their elections. I'd find myself in a Mexican prison if I did that. Pretty sure. Then they'd hold my family hostage for whatever ransom they could get. And a year or two later, throw my ass back over the border. That's what happens in Mexico. It would happen in Canada to some degree. It would happen in France. It would happen in any civilized country on the earth. Only in places where they don't have elections or they don't care would you be able to get away with something like that, with voting without being a citizen. And so in the United States, the Democrats don't care anymore. They've abdicated. They are no longer constitutional. They no longer care. They've proven it. And that is precisely why, because we're experiencing what I would call literally acts of economic warfare from Mexico. Mexico is a failed economy. It's not a failing economy. It is a failed economy. It is on our southern border. And yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of people, neocons and neoliberals alike here in the United States that have, excuse me, contributed to that failure. But does that make us responsible for the actions of the Mexican government? No. They're responsible, but they're sending over their gangs, their prisoners, their undesirables. They're letting people pass through this border pretty much unchecked because they're so corrupt. The coyotes, all they got to do is pay off a government official. They could bring 20 or 30 people through, or a truckload of people through, as it were. If somebody's unfortunate enough to get caught in one of those container trucks when it's 120 degrees crossing the desert, that's a pretty bad situation. That's a crime against humanity, but it's also economic warfare against the United States, and it's happening. The Mexican government's turning a blind eye. They may claim some interdictions, but for the most part, forget it. Okay, so we need photo IDs and proof of citizenship in order to be able to vote. We need to clean up the voter rolls. If your vote's going to have any impact at all, we have to clean up the voter rolls. We have to get all the dead people off of there. We have to get all the multiple registries off of there. We have to get everything current. And that's a full-time job in a city the size of Atlanta. I would say that's a full-time job for upwards of 100 people, cleaning up the voter rolls, like literally going out with martial powers and checking on individual voters and saying, yeah, I just need to meet with you and check your photo ID, and we're going to check you off the list here, and you're good to go. And anybody who can't do that, it doesn't matter if you're in a hospital or a jail. If you're in a jail, you lose your right to vote. If you're in a hospital, just come up and say hi to the marshal, the person, the deputy who is checking the voter rolls, and you're pretty much good to go. There's no fraud in that, there's no harm in that. It's a win-win situation for everybody, because if you're a non-citizen or you're a non-eligible voter, or you're voting multiple times, or there's people on the rolls who don't exist and they're sending in mail-in ballots, that's fraud. So if you don't want to meet with if it's your right, if you don't want to meet, and then maybe you get bumped off the rolls, or if you don't exist, you get bumped off the rolls, or if you voted in multiple jurisdictions, multiple, over an election or multiple elections, maybe you go to jail because you've earned that right. And this is a free country, and I feel people have the right to live the benefit of the actions they've undertaken in their lives. So if you want to take on a criminal lifestyle and you have to answer for the crime, that's your choice. I'm not going to deprive you of your choice, and the government of the United States isn't here to deprive you of your choices either. But you will have consequences. I'm just saying. This isn't wine, by the way. It's actual. It's organic cherry juice, and there's no sugar added, and it's just awesome. But so I recommend staying away from sodas entirely, or making your own. There's a soda stream kind of product. You can make your own with it. As for the border wall, We definitely need a hard border wall. And once you have a border wall, then the only way, I mean, I suppose some enterprising souls could get over, but that pretty much rules out all but the very athletically fit. And then at that point, people say, well, they could tunnel under it. Yeah, so we get some ground penetrating radar, and you make regular flights, and you find out where the tunnels are, and you collapse them. Now, under our current situation, we would probably have border agents go down in tunnel rat and make sure those tunnels are clear before we collapse them. But if it ever gets dangerous, and under the rules of war, we can collapse those tunnels without checking them. Those are the rules of war. So that's what I'm saying. If they want to escalate, you just you spot the tunnels and you collapse them, and then you go in and you fill in the gap. You know what's left under because of the tunnel. You fill in what's on top of the gap, but you collapse the tunnel. And if there's somebody in there, that's a tough call. But under the rules of war, the rules of engagement, and you're preserving your soldiers, that's what you do. And you can always smoke it out. You can always throw some tear gas in there, smoke the tunnels out before you collapse them. That would be a safe thing to do, humane. Get everybody out of there. Throw some tear gas and then throw in a lot of tear gas so anybody who wants to stick around knows what's coming. And those are the rules of war. We're in a war here for what's left of this republic. And the Democrats think it's over. They think it's over. They think we haven't caught on to their games and their cheating and their lies and their theft and their fraud. And I've got news for you. Here's to you, America.